In this video, we're going to go over carbohydrates and the importance they play in the reduction of inflammation and cortisol levels. This is going to be a complete comprehensive case study on inflammation and bioenergetics. So we're going to be going through a client case study of our client Steven, who is an EMT that we've worked with, and how we transformed his body in literally just 8 weeks right here. From a lower carb diet on the left, higher fat intake, plateaued and inflamed, to a higher carb intake, lower fat intake, mitochondrial energy efficient on the right. But before we do get started, I would like you guys to hear from Steven himself, just so you know that what I'm saying is true and that what we're doing in our program is next level. I'm going to pull up a quick clip from Steven in our recent interview and to show you what he said about it.
3 weeks that I got shredded. It was mind blowing. Like, I was eating more the first few weeks with you, and I would eat it, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna lose weight doing this. Like, this is insane. And the next thing you know, I'm hitting all-time lows while getting stronger at the same time. It's crazy. Cutting calories down to what, 1,500, 1,800 calories is just starting off. You're not doing yourself any favors doing that.
So obviously, as you can tell by Steven, what we do does work. We're industry-leading professionals in the space of bioenergetics, metabolic research. Our coaches that run our program are industry-leading professionals in endocrinology, biology, and exercise science. And so what we do is next-level industry-leading, and the program that we run is the top upcoming online program on the internet as of right now by the mechanisms and unique approach that we use to alter our clients' current metabolisms. But first of all, I want to get into the depths about the bioenergetic approach, the energy that we produce in the mitochondria of our cells being the primary determinant in the functioning of our health, macronutrients and the role they play on energy efficiency, and how carbohydrates influence stress and cortisol levels, and then in practical application, switching the body from a low carb to a high carb intake. If you guys don't know me by now, my name's Adam Bunnell. I'm an online metabolic specialist, and I specialize in nutrition and how it correlates to overall metabolic effects. We specialize in a process called metabolic priming that we've helped almost 400 men in just the last 6 months alone get to very lean body compositions by making them very energy efficient when it comes to metabolic pathways. And I want to describe some of the context of how we do this in today's video, and I'm going to give you some good stuff to take home as well today. So, to stick around to the end of this video, because I'm going to show you exactly how we do it with our clients and give you a lot of really good information that you can take away and start utilizing today. But getting right into the video, we want to kind of understand the biogenic approach. So the biogenic approach is the energy that we produce in the mitochondria of our cells is a primary determinant factor of our health. So in conclusion, consuming carbohydrates is extremely supportive of health because of the idea the primary driver in health is efficiency of energy production. When we have a lot of energy available, our organs are able to function at optimal capacity. When we don't have as much energy available, we have to turn down the function of various organ systems and functions that lead to degeneration. And this kind of goes back to what I've talked about on this channel before with metabolic adaptation and the drastic decline in calories actually being the drastic decline in that amount of energy production your body uses in the form of basal metabolic rate and just overall energy production coming from your overall metabolism as a whole. So a lot of my studies actually come from Dr. Ray Peat's biogenic approach, theory for diet and why energy is everything. And in this idea, that bioenergetic idea means that the mitochondrial transform carbohydrates, fats, and proteins into adenosine triphosphate, ATP, the chemical energy every cell needs. Pete argues that when ATP production slows, metabolism drags, stress hormones rise, and health declines. Diet and lifestyle choices that favor robust energy output, adequate carbohydrate intake, balanced protein with consuming good carbohydrates means good thyroid support, manageable stress, and help maintain the body temperature, mood, and overall resilience. So in this theory that he states that many diets today in obsessively on calorie counting or cutting carbs to see if the secret of true health was something far yet more simple or profound. Dr. Ray Peat, biologist behind the biogenic theory of health, argues that energy, not calories, is the fundamental key to wellness. His philosophy turns conventional diet wisdom on its head, shifting the focus from deprivation and restriction to optimizing cellular energy production. This bioenergetic perspective resonates deeply with anyone who frustrates by the limitations of diminishing returns of mainstream diets like keto or calorie counting, by embracing high energy, metabolism supporting lifestyle, we work with our biology rather than against it, restoring the warmth, vitality, and overall wellness that traditional dieting methods often undermine. So obviously a lot of today's diet industries has been pushed amongst us is diets low in carbohydrates, low in calories, the whole term do more, eat less. And it's become to the point where it's actually starting to cause a lot more problems. It is starting to solve a lot more problems. And so like when you talk about bioenergetics, what it matters in nutrition is understanding biogenics helps explain why weight loss or weight gain occurs on an energy balance perspective. It clarifies how food choices and energy available affect exercise and performance recovery and overall well-being. Chronic disease, biogenic provides insight to how metabolic functions influence health, potentially contribute to development of management of chronic conditions, and even in animal nutrition. Bioenergetics enables the creation of diets that meet a specific energy needs by accurately evaluating feed staff. So an unbalanced diet can lead to an inefficient biogenic process, contribute to conditions like obesity, diabetes, and altering energy metabolism. Macronutrients, vitamins and minerals, act as a coenzyme cofactors essential for the enzymatic reaction and energy production pathways like the Krebs cycle. In nutrition, biogenics is the study of how body converts the chemical energy into food, protein, carbs, and fats, and to usable forms such as ATP to power life's process. It examines energy intake, energy expenditure through metabolic pathways, and overall energy balance that impacts everything on a cellular basis to weight management, athletic performance, and chronic disease. Energy intake, energy expenditure, energy balance, metabolic pathways, and cellular energy. So the approach that we use and why our approach sets us apart from everybody else in the industry is that we use more of a bioenergetic approach, using macronutrients to actually dictate how our health and how our body composition is formed. Because calories do affect your weight. Obviously, you eat more calories, you eat more food, you gain weight. But macronutrients affect how you look and affect specific energy pathways. And that is why our clients are seeing the best progress on the internet, is because we use more of an energy efficient approach. We maximize their actual progress by getting down into the macronutrients associated to how their particular lifestyle and energy demands meet. And so the macronutrients, and I want to outline the important role they play on energy efficiency. Macronutrients, protein, carbs, and fats, provide the energy essential building blocks for all cellular functions, including energy production, growth, repair, and regulation. Carbohydrates are the primary energy source, yielding ATP through glucose metabolism. Proteins are crucial for cellular structure, enzyme and hormones, and immune function, and fats provide concentrated energy, form cellular membranes, and aid in the absorption of fat-soluble vitamins. Balanced intake of macronutrients is essential for maintaining cellular health and overall bodily function. So, carbohydrates and energy production. Carbohydrates are the main source of energy used for cells. Cellular production. This ATP powers essential cellular activities such as muscle contraction, nerve impulse transmission, and protein synthesis. So, the body maintains a consistent energy supply to cells by regulating blood glucose level through carbohydrate intake. So, the problem in today's society really comes down to one, an inefficiency within overall metabolic processes, like high fat and high carb diets, right? Because like if you take high fat and high carb diet, then you're putting yourself in a very well-designed way to gain fat tremendously, because you're not optimizing the body for any sort of actual energy source. But when you start to optimize the body for a certain energy source, like carbohydrates, which the body prefers, lower the fat intake so we can still have fat-soluble vitamins and make sure that we are absorbing its nutrients and absorbing vitamins, and a higher protein intake to make sure that we are regulating, a process and regulating muscle tissue. We're regulating hormones, and that's where it really gets into really good depth when we get down into the actual play of macronutrients. And so if we were to pull up the metabolism and how it works in wondrous ways. First of all, it works by one, we can understand the metabolism at a very high level when it does come to micronutrients, and understanding each macronutrient has a specific role to play. So carbohydrates improve your metabolism by acting as the body's primary fuel source, with digestive process requiring energy to break down food. The process of digestion, absorption, and metabolism generates heat, known as a thermic effect of food, which can temporarily boost your metabolic rate. Complex carbs particularly can also support metabolism by increasing satiety and reducing cravings, help regulate energy balance. So you notice how everything that I'm talking about within this video comes down to energy balance, understanding energy balance. And energy balance is very in particular per person. We use a particular mechanism of carbohydrate metabolism that is very predictable and also very repeatable because we're utilizing one certain set of energy source. Because carbohydrates do fuel your metabolism. It's a primary energy source, has effect on the thermic effect of food, and any glucose that isn't used immediately stores as glycogen. So yeah, it's like it comes down to the how much, guys. Like you can't just go out and eat a sufficient amount of carbohydrates and expect not great things to happen, because the thing is, it does come to how much your body in particular needs down to the macronutrient. So breaking down like the metabolism, the basal metabolic rate makes up 60-70% of your entire metabolism. This is your essential body functions. And this is where carbohydrates play a particular role in acting as the body's primary fuel source. And then thermic effect of food, when you get into thermic effect of food, carbohydrates influence digestion by providing the fuel for process and impacting how quickly foods are digested. So a higher thermic effect of food, and what a thermic effect of food means is that the energy it actually takes down to break down each particular macronutrient. Like fat intake has a very low thermic effect. And so if you have a very high fat diet, you're going to have a very low thermic effect of food. So if we have a lower fat diet that optimizes for carbohydrates, we get 3 times the thermic effect of food. And so increase in thermic effect means a higher caloric burn, a metabolic boost, increased fullness, and reduced hunger hormones. And then we get down into the non-energy activity thermogenesis. Once again, it comes down to energy efficiency, having more energy for daily output. So although carbohydrates don't directly impact NEAT, they provide essential energy to fuel spontaneous activities and give your body energy to, one, just move more, right? And so carbohydrates are the body's primary energy source, breaking down glucose into the cells that fuel organs, including the brain. In sustained activity, reduced fatigue. With adequate carb intake, the body has fuel necessary to avoid fatigue, make it easier to move, fidget, or perform spontaneous activities that contribute to NEAT. So, getting into everything, like what I want to introduce you as a whole to the concept is that like cellular activity on the mitochondria level comes with actual understanding of macronutrients, what specific macronutrients play in overall body composition, overall health markers, overall energy efficiency, and just overall dictating how your body looks and feels. And so when we get into more of an cortisol levels and inflammation within overall carbohydrates, is that low carb diets, as opposed to what society thinks, actually increase cortisol levels. Increased dietary carbohydrates can reduce cortisol levels. High carb diets can help reduce cortisol as an active form of energy. Consuming carbohydrates, especially complex ones, helps stabilize blood sugar. A sharp drop in sugar can trigger the body's stress response, leading to increased cortisol production. High carbohydrate intake, healthy whole food diets may help minimize overexpenditure to cortisol, and then diets with drastic carbohydrates reduction may lead to stress-induced effects, increasing hunger or comfort foods, like just feeling more hungry. Because like if you cut a whole macronutrient out of your entire diet, it's like, yes, you're going to get hungry pretty quickly because the body's going to anticipate that you're actually starving. So calorie restriction and low-carb diets can act as a stressor, prompting the body's hypothalamic pituitary adrenal axis to increase cortisol production. Short-term low-carb diets can lead to a pronounced exercise-induced cortisol response. By reducing carbohydrates, the body is less efficient at getting energy from glucose, potentially leading to low blood sugar, a stress response, and increased cortisol. So getting into carbohydrates and how they can increase serotonin in the levels in the brain. So carbohydrates stimulate the release of insulin, a hormone that lowers blood sugar. Insulin promotes the uptake of amino acids, including tryptophan, into the brain, and tryptophan is a precursor to serotonin, so increased tryptophan availability leads to increased serotonin production. The benefits of a high-carb diet: improve mood and well-being, reduce anxiety and stress, enhance sleep quality, and increase appetite regulation. As an adverse effect, low-carb diets can increase cortisol levels through the body's stress response to reduce carbohydrate intake and energy and cortisol. Exercise, especially on a low-carb diet, can further increase cortisol as the body seeks to maintain glucose levels for working muscles and through the brain. Because like we mentioned, that carbohydrates do play a significant role in energy production on the brain, because glucose runs your brain. So potential long-term effects: while short-term increase in cortisol during low-carb dieting may not be problematic, prolonged elevation elevation could potentially lead to impact adrenal function and a stress hormone regulation. So how do we put this into context and understanding our client Steven here, who's an EMT, who first of all, one, like the guys who are our service members need to understand that cortisol is a primary driver in a lot of weight increase among servicemen who work very odd hours, who might work shifts of up to 72 hours. And we are very supportive of the servicemen within our community and our program, because when they get in, we've seen a very well-known effect that like a lot of these servicemen go through a lot of high stress jobs, low sleep, and understanding carbohydrates and how carbohydrates impact overall sleep, cortisol, and inflammation is extremely valuable, but also liberating information to know when it comes to maintaining health while being an active member of the service, with the police officers, EMTs, firefighters. It's very important to note that a lot of these high-stress jobs will induce a lot of cortisol, but having a higher carb diet allows better sleep, cortisol management, cortisol reduction, and overall better body composition. And so here's Steven, 2,000 calories per day, high fat, and a low carb diet. And here's the notes that I have on him. He's an EMT who works a lot with a busy schedule, wants a bigger taper look, solid core, and fill out chest and upper body. He's a former fat kid. So, like, obviously right off the bat, from a psychological perspective, he's already scared of food, in a sense. And a lot of you have lost an immense amount of weight in the past, probably feel the same, where it's like you have this relationship with food that is very detrimental to your actual progress because you're stuck in the I got to eat less phase. And so his full day of eating, breaking it down, is 4 eggs, tortilla, guac, cheese, protein bar, ground beef, and some more guac. And right off the bat, I can already tell is that like 4 eggs, that's 20 grams of fat. Cheese, that's probably another 10 grams of fat. Guac, another 10 grams of fat. Beef, another 10 to 20 grams of fat. Some more guac, another 10 to 20 grams of fat. So we're already like really, really focused on a high-fat diet. And so when you get into a high-fat diet, it can, one, detriment overall digestion because it has a lower thermic effect, and also lead to inflammation because you don't have the active mechanism of carbohydrates that are reducing the inflammation that is actually accrued, getting better sleep, feeling better mood enhancement, and everything in between. So he's been in a low-carb diet for a while and said he's probably around 2,000 calories. He's been in a caloric deficit for a while now. We need to reduce a ton of inflammation on his body and decrease a lot of cortisol. We need to add carbohydrates into his diet slowly to stimulate inflammation reduction, cortisol reduction, and build lean muscle tissue to increase metabolic processes. And so that's when we put him in a metabolic priming phase. So I want you to see, first of all, he's at 150 right here. But all we did for Steven, and I'll tell you exactly what his macronutrients were. At 150, his macronutrients are 175 grams of protein, 60 grams of fat, and then we started him off right around that 150 to 200 gram of carbohydrates amount. So we wanted to start him off similar calorie-wise to where he's already eating, because calories do affect your weight, but we wanted to give him structure within the actual macronutrients to optimize bioenergetics and energy efficiency on the mitochondrial level. And so as we do that, you can already see within the first week, his inflammation absolutely just crashed, right? We just got rid of a ton of inflammation just within, 4 days. And this is the importance and role, is understanding what happens when you transition and you turn fats and calories into more carbohydrate calories. So all we really did was take his high-fat diet, high-protein diet, and we lowered the fat intake and raised the carb intake. Has a higher thermic effect, a greater increase in serotonin levels and sleep quality, and also a reduction of cortisol that's very beneficial for our servicemen who are staying up till 2, 3 a.m. or getting up at 2, 3 a.m. and running through the night. And so as we do this, we transition his body. What we're doing right here in this phase is we're transitioning the body into a carbohydrate metabolism state. So carbohydrate metabolism refers to a series of chemical reactions that break down and utilize carbohydrates in a living organism. It is a crucial process that provides energy for cellular functions and maintains blood sugar levels. It aids in digestion, absorption, pyruvate metabolism, glucose storage, and gluconeogenesis. Carbohydrate metabolism is essential for maintaining energy homeostasis, regulating blood sugar levels, and supporting various bodily functions. So like I mentioned, once again, notice how we're going back to the energy homeostasis, the energy activity, the energy efficiency within all of our clients' actual bodies. That is the process that actually, separates us from the rest of the industry, is the actual getting down onto the mitochondrial level of energy production, and not just focusing on eat less and moving more. We're focusing on the energy that your actual mitochondria produce in the form of understanding fat metabolism, understanding how fat is accrued, understanding how fat is lost, down to the actual mitochondrial level. And so that's why a lot of your clients you'll see that come through our program eat more food and lose a significant amount more weight, because we're giving their body, we're giving their mitochondria in the ATP process more energy to support bodily functions, but also support fat loss and reducing inflammation. So as we go, we just simply each week wanted to give Steven couple more carbohydrates per week. 25 grams of carbohydrates a week is all you really need. And you want to maintain that. And so I'll get a lot of questions all the time. Is like, what do you think about carb cycling? I don't think carb cycling, in my particular opinion, is very beneficial from an overall progress perspective for a couple different reasons. One, the body works better when it has a set amount per day per week. Your body starts to optimize digestion. It starts to optimize knowing exactly how many macronutrients it's intaking on the energy level, and you start to get more accurate weigh-ins. So, like, let's say that we do go with a approach of carb cycling, and on Wednesdays we're eating 100 more grams of carbohydrates than the rest of the week. Well, on that Thursday, your body weight's obviously going to be up a little bit more just from the increase in food and and just how digestion works. And so now you're getting inaccurate readings. So what can be tracked can be improved as long as everything's consistent. And so with our clients, we put everything on a weekly basis, because this allows us to see progress from a weekly basis and pull strings based upon the progress they're actually making and have accurate data to actually go off of. And so, a lot of people, when they think about carb cycling, they think about, restricting carbohydrates and having a larger carbohydrate intake. You're more better off taking that 100 grams of carbohydrates and spreading it through the week and accurately tracking each day specific to your actual gram and amount to see better progress, to see better data and feedback, okay? And so I want you to see how on the weeks go on as we just simply start to add a little bit more carbohydrates each week. He starts to fill out more. His muscle structure becomes more pronounced because we're putting more glucose intramuscularly, which fills him out more. And then you start to lean out more and starting to get rid of a lot of that inflammation. And even like right here is when he starts to really, really get extremely lean. But you have to understand is that we can still see visually, he still has a little bit of inflammation that we can actually get rid of. And so we keep going. And the importance of what we do on an actual macronutrient energy level is we can see within our clients as they check in how their body composition is progressing, but also if we have any inflammatory responses, can we add more carbohydrates to reduce the inflammation? How's our body composition progressing? And when I show you his intake, because right here he starts to get extremely lean. And just keep in mind, guys, this is 175 grams of protein, 60 grams of fat, starting at about around 150 grams of carbohydrates and just adding 25 grams of carbs each week, giving the body time to transition to a carbohydrate metabolism. Because a lot of guys on my channel is like, I tried carbohydrates before, but I just felt like crap, and so I dropped them. Well, like the truth is, and the answer to your question is that you have to give the body time to transition. You can't overload the body with carbohydrates, especially if you've been on a ketosis state for an extreme period of time or a low carb state for a extended period of time. The body needs to upregulate the machinery to actually utilize those carbohydrates effectively. And usually it takes, sometimes we see it take up to two to 3 weeks for the body to actually transition properly. But like getting on consistent macronutrient schedule per day, per week is more beneficial. It's going to help you tremendously. And then watching as your body transitions. And so as he comes into this last date right here, you can already see like he is more pronounced. He has visible ab veins now. His muscles really start to pop and become pronounced. And then on this last date right here, he's like absolutely shredded, eating, I think, almost 600 calories more per day. But here's the thing, he's actually up 5 pounds. So yes, like from his start date right here, he is up 5 pounds from right here. But that's the thing that people don't realize is that it's not about fat loss. It's not about weight loss. It's about fat loss, right? We're trying to get our clients in a position of elite physique. And when it comes to elite physique, it's not always about your weight, because if you're putting on muscle tissue and lean muscle tissue, we can actively see that you're getting leaner, even though, you might be up in weight a little bit. And that's important to note, is because a lot of people dictate all of their progress based upon the number on the scale. We don't. We dictate our progress based upon how our clients are actually looking, how they're feeling, where their energy's at, because that's how we tell on the mitochondrial level, and even in a biogenic perspective, how well they're actually making progress. And this is a lot more sustainable than trying to track progress on an actual scale, because we can actually see visibly that he is making more progress. And so that's important to note, that it's not about weight loss, it's about fat loss. And so there's a lot of approaches that we use and we dictate with our clients that we actually teach them to help sustain this type of stuff. And it does come with the understanding bodily cues and how your body really works. But it is very liberating when you start to understand how the body works on an energy efficient level. And the importance of the work we do is giving our clients the actual ability to understand their bodies. Because every client comes in and has a different macronutrient protocol, has a different training protocol, has a different routine per week. And that's the importance of what we do from a client success perspective. We have a 97.42 client success and satisfaction rate amongst our program. We have worked with almost 1,000 individuals over the course of the last 5 years as an actual client success team, and the coaches that run our program. And so to understand that we have an industry leading team backed by a brotherhood of men that are in our current community. And so if you're looking for that next step and you're looking to get into the best shape of your life and actually utilize scientific approaches to get there, there'll be a link in the description for you to sign up to see if you're a good fit to work with us and a good fit to join our program. We work with almost 200 guys as of right now, and we're constantly growing. We're one of the top upcoming online fitness programs for the unique approach and metabolic pathways that we utilize. And that contributes to our obviously 97.42 client satisfaction rate. But if you're someone who's just stopping by, want to know more information, I hope this does provide a little bit more insight on understanding low carb versus high carb and the biogenic perspective of understanding that giving the body more energy to utilize for better health perspectives. And if you want to learn more about this, I highly recommend checking out Dr. Ray Peat. A lot of his studies and research is kind of where I based a lot of my program off of as well. And I think that it's very important for you guys to kind of look into the actual benefits of high carb diets when it does come to optimal energy production. But like I said, if you want to get into the best shape of your life and you're looking to optimize everything in between and have some actual industry leading professionals just guide you and take the control, link will be down below. I always tell you guys on this channel, it's I do keep 90% of what obviously our program entails off of this channel, just for the sole purpose of obviously our paid for clients. And so if you're looking to get in the best shape of your life, and want us to take care of it, it'll be down below. If you just stop by for more information, hope this does help. But comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.